Welcome to another edition of the Boxing Commentaries with the Dude. Here to commentate about boxing. Saludos to everybody. How's everybody doing? I'm just making sure everything's running properly, so just bear with me. This is live, uncut, and direct. So saludos. So once again, everybody, welcome to another edition of the Boxing Commentaries with the Dude. Just here to talk about boxing, so just bear with me. We're live, uncut, and direct, so just bear with me. I don't want any issues. You guys know how it is, guys. Let's go. Let's do this. So welcome, everybody. Welcome once again to another edition of the Boxing Commentaries with the Dude. Here to commentate about boxing. Just throw my 2 punches in. We're going to be talking about boxing. Before I get started, I want to throw something out there really quick. If you are inspired by El Dude and steal his intro line, this channel is for you. Have you guys heard some dude say some shit like that? I just heard recently, man, somebody's taking my intro. You guys want to know? You guys know how I always say shit like, welcome to another edition. And I go into like some boxing news or whatever. I just find that kind of funny, Holmes. So, a little channel like mine is still inspiring bigger channels out there. Motherfuckers still want to be like El Dude, Holmes. So I don't mind, Holmes. So this channel's for you, Holmes. I'm here to inspire those big channels. So, you know what I mean? As long as, you know what I mean? Hey, if you're giving credit where credit is due is one thing, Holmes. But when you're fucking not giving credit, bro, it's another, Holmes. But a little intro like that, Holmes. You're trying to steal my intro, try to use it for your videos, Holmes. You're a bigger channel like that. All I gotta say is, Holmes, it tickles my fancy, Holmes. You know what I mean? It's just it makes me feel proud, Holmes, knowing that I'm still inspiring and influencing even the bigger channels out there, Holmes. So with that being said, Holmes, we're gonna be talking about the fights that occurred over the weekend. I was gonna make this video earlier in the week. Got a little busy. You know what I mean? My boy Black and Brown Boxing came out today, Holmes, and he dropped a video. And then I was like, you know what? Let me go drop my video that I had planned to drop earlier. You know, it's just it's how it is. Sometimes you need a little encouragement, Holmes, a little motivation. So shout out to my homie Black and Brown Boxing. Go ahead and subscribe to his channel. But the topic of today is the fights, Holmes. The fights that took place. Richard Torres versus Guido Vianello. JOYCE versus Philip HRGOVIK. Lindolfo Delgado versus Elvis Rodriguez. TSZYU versus Joey Spencer. And then there was so much other fights that occurred as well, Holmes. You know what I mean? And we're going to have another discussion on some other topics really quick, Holmes. You know what I mean? I was going to talk about this, you know, like I dropped it earlier. Stealing content and not giving credit where credit is due. You know what I mean? And so on, Holmes. So, but let's stick with the beginning of the topic. So, you know what I mean? Boxing, Holmes. Let's stick with boxing for a little bit. As you guys know, this is not only a boxing channel, but a channel that talks about other bullshit, Holmes, as well. Holmes. Some UFO conspiracy theories, sci-fi stories, and all that crazy shit, Holmes. So that's what we do out here, Holmes. But if you guys are unaware, Holmes, there was a lot of boxing over the weekend, Holmes, and one big fight is Richard Torres, Holmes. Richard Torres fighting Guido Vianello, and it was an interesting fight, Holmes. You know, at the beginning of the fight, if you guys didn't see it, Guido Vianello, Holmes. He was clinching a lot. He got warned. He got points deducted because of the over clinching. Once he let go and he started swinging his arms and shit, it got a little interesting. I believe Richard Torres is still young. He's still learning. He's still maturing in the sport of boxing as a professional. And at the end of the day, Holmes, he is what I will call it, our Yankee, because even though he's from of Mexican descent, he does represent that red, white, and blue. And being that Richard Torres is also an Olympian, he does represent the United States flag as an American heavyweight champion. And as young as he is, and coming up in the sport of boxing, the competition is only going to get harder, and 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 the skills and that he's going to need to compete with those particular big boys and those the heavier class with, you know, say like fighters with higher skill levels, like for example Usyk, you know what I mean, and Tyson Fury if he sticks around, and he's gonna need more weapons in an arsenal. And these are the kind of moments where the fans come in and we give our our 2 cents in, or I like to say, like throw my two punches in. It's I believe it's the right time to seek outside help. Maybe some type of trainer that could give you those tools and the upper echelon of boxing, homes. You know what I mean? The because hey man, the heavyweights are a whole different story. It's all about knockout galore, that's for sure. But at the same time, you need a little bit more skill than will, and he has the will, but he's lacking a little bit of the skill. So when it comes to Richard Torres, he is our Yankee. He is our fighter who's going to be representing that American heavyweight champion category, that status, that he's but is he going to be carrying that you know I would say the myth of the heavyweight champion of the world for the United States of America. Usually the heavyweight champion of the United States of America usually comes in banging. You know what I mean? Comes in knocking motherfuckers out, making noise. Very destructive. And recently we've seen Deontay Wilder, as well as you could include Andy Ruiz, who was a one hitter quitter. And when it came to at the upper level of the champion status, maintaining yourself, becoming a true champion, not a paper champion or a one time hitter quitter. So and but can Richard Torres get up there and do what he and do that? You know what I mean? So that's a whole different story. Who would I recommend? I have my favorite boxers as well as favorite trainers in the sport of boxing, right? So there's a lot of trainers who I believe would fit very well for Richard Torres to get that particular experience and developing his skills almost to be competitive in that heavyweight world. And I would go, not too far from that legendary status. You know what I mean? Teddy Atlas. I would take the help from Teddy Atlas if I was Richard Torres, man. I would definitely try to get Teddy Atlas in my corner because he's not only an experienced uh, trainer, but he's very well, knowledgeable in the heavyweight division as well. So that's another one particular trainer. But if Teddy Atlas is not available, you know what I mean. I will seek somebody, because it's in the heavyweight division. You got to, it's a knockout sport. You're gonna try to deliver the pain, you know, to gain. You know what I mean. And so, no pain, no gain. But I would say someone like definitely Robert Garcia, the Robert Boxing Academy. Just because they're all about pain, delivering punches, and, dominating the inside pocket of the, you know what I mean. So yeah, I would definitely that would be my second choice. Um, my third choice for for Richard Torres, in my opinion, would I will go with fucking shit. That's a tough one, dude. That's a tough one. Manny Robles. I will go with Manny Robles, bro. My third option for Richard Torres to seek help in fighting in the heavyweight divisions to gain a little bit more skill, a little bit more knowledge, more preparation. I mean, being a little bit more ruthless, a little bit more precise and accurate with your brawling skills. I would definitely go with Manny Robles. So I would go with Teddy Atlas at number one, or I would do Robert Garcia or Manny Robles to aid Richard Torres. You know what I mean? Because he's young, he's maturing, but he does need to develop a little bit more arsenal, and he's lacking a little bit of that skills. You know that, but he could develop it. He definitely has the qualities to enhance his performance in the ring of boxing. You know what I mean? But he needs help, bro. They need help. He can't just rely on us on the same old thing that he's doing, bro. It's just you know what I mean? When these opponents are only going to get tougher, and he's not really showing me right now that he could excel like that. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, bro, it was a good fight. As soon as Guido started uh, letting his fucking punches go. But yeah, you know, good fight, good win for Richard Torres more than anything. And I would say for Richard Torres, what's his next fight? I would say give him Philip Hergovich. Man, did you guys see that fucking fight over the weekend? Joyce versus Philip Hergovich. Man, great fucking fight, bro, for heavyweight. I was entertained, bro. I was fucking entertained. Now that was a fucking fight. And you know, I've always been a fan of El Animal. You know, El Animal has always put up a good fight, bro. Every time he's in the ring of boxing and shit. Joyce is another fighter who's always entertained. So this fight was bound to clash, bro. This fight was fucking really bound to be rattling some fucking heads. I thought this fight was gonna end sooner than later, bro. You know what I mean? So, but great fight. You know, very entertaining. I say Philip Hergovich versus Richard Torres would be a great fight. I don't know if Richard Torres could beat Hergovich in that type of performance. I think Richard Torres versus Hergovich will resemble Andy Ruiz versus Ariola. Remember fucking that fight with Chris Ariola against Andy Ruiz? Chris was rocking Andy Ruiz and knocking him down and shit, making him look horrible. You know what I mean? Something like that, bro. It's just, but it'll be a great learning opportunity for Richard Torres and a great win for his resume, bro. Because El Animal Hergovich, bro, he's no joke, bro. He's legitimate. He's fucking legitimate, bro. You know, so that's another fight that went down that was very fucking entertaining, bro. If you guys haven't seen it, go check it out, bro. That's a fight that I recommend people like. I don't really recommend people like, oh, go check out this fight that you missed over the weekend. But that's a fight that I would recommend you go watch if you missed it. You know what I mean? That happened over the weekend. Another pretty close fight that I watched, bro. Lindolfo Delgado versus Elvin Rodriguez. You know what I mean? Close fight. You know, there was a one round where Rodriguez rocked the shit out of Lindolfo, but the entire fight was, in my opinion, dominated by strategic brawling, bro, with strategic punching, strategic, you know, boxing, and from the corner of Robert Garcia. You know, when talking about Robert Garcia, he's in the corner of Lindolfo Delgado. They definitely managed their fighters very well, and and no exception with Lindolfo Delgado. This particular fighter, you know, it was a close fight, but he won the fair and square, in my opinion, bro. It's not even close to being called a robbery. You know? It's not even close to being a draw. And Rodriguez, he put up a good fight, bro. He put up a good fight. Don't get me wrong, bro. But it's when you look at the fight, it's boxing, bro. You know, you win by points, by the most significant punches landed, and that all went for Lindolfo Delgado, bro. I mean, like I said, there was moments in the fight where Elvis might have landed some nice punches. In one particular round, he rocked the shit out of him. But does one round, you know, knocking down or rocking an opponent, does that win you the fight? No, not really, bro. You know what I mean? It's boxing. It's boxing, bro. It goes by points. So that particular round, yes, it might have gone to Elvis Rodriguez, but shit, I didn't give Elvis Rodriguez no more than 4 fucking rounds in that fight. You know what I mean? 5, I'm generous, but I think I'm more than generous by giving him 4, bro. But that's how I saw it, bro. So you know what I mean? So total shutout? No, it's not a total shutout. Of course not. But that's just the way I saw it. You know what I mean? So, and then we got fucking TSZYU who came back from fucking, you know, collecting dust and shit, bro. You know. But in all fairness, TSZYU has gone through some wars and shit, bro. You know, losing back to back. It's yeah, you know, it was tough for him. It was, but one thing that I'm not sure, bro, what the fuck's going on with boxing nowadays, bro. You know what I mean? A lot of changes, a lot of shit's happening, bro. But I see a shift. I see a momentum. I see it being brought back to the old days, bro. You don't give a fuck if these motherfuckers gotta last, bro. Let's watch TSZYU fight, bro. Let's watch TSZYU throw some punches and shit, bro. Let's watch fucking Joey Spencer fucking pull out a motherfucking upset with the fucking underdog shit, you know? Like, I see a momentum. I didn't really, I thought I was going to hear a little more, you know, hater shit, trolling shit, you know, dumbass fucking fans and shit, always criticizing, always talking shit, bro. You know what I mean? And nah, bro, I was a little bit more support, you know what I mean? So you know, I kind of like that, bro, because, well, you know, I don't know, bro. I don't know about you guys, bro. I ain't that fucking old, bro. You know what I mean? But I'm OG enough to fucking know how it was, you know, back then. Where you didn't give a fuck if a fighter had 1 or 2 or 3 or even 5 or even fucking 10 losses, bro. Why? Because they usually had like fucking 60, 70 fights, you know, and their record, you know, so they gave us entertainment like a motherfucker, bro. And, you know, there's a whole different, you know, argument of why they fought so many times. They got paid way less than they're getting paid now, so they're not as hungry as they were back then, you know. But, you know, hey, what it is, bro. There's different arguments, you know, whatever theory you believe is to be correct. That's a whole different video for a whole different subject, bro. You know what I mean? A whole different subject for a whole different video. However the fuck you say that shit, bro. Whatever the fuck the YouTube fucking internet world says, you know? You know what the fuck I'm trying to say, bro. You know what I mean? All I'm saying is, bro, I love the fact when fighters come back from a loss. You know what I mean? And shout out, like, once again to Black and Brown Boxing Homes. He was also talking about throwback fighters. You know what I mean? And he says that Tim Tszyu resembles a throwback fighter from back. I agree, bro. You know, fighters who don't, you know, they're not afraid to let go of the O and shit. And when they do let go of the O, you know, they come back and they might get a collection of O's, but they still entertain the fans. They might win some, they might lose some, might come back to become champions. Who the fuck knows, bro? But he has a nice road ahead of him. I was gonna say tough road ahead of him, but in boxing it's tough regardless. But Tim Tszyu definitely has one nice road ahead of him. Win, lose, or draw, he has one nice, and I do mean nice, road ahead of him. Think about it, bro. A fight between, say, Eddie Lara. Just think about that for a second. Tim Tszyu versus Eddie Lara. That could put Tim Tszyu in a position to, you know, for a championship fight against a veteran on his way out, collect the belt. Let's say he has a rematch against Fundora. That's a 50-50 fight. That's a 50-50 fight against Fundora, bro. So let's say he gets lucky, beats Fundora or not. Who the fuck gives a fuck? But let's say he beats him. Then he also has Keith Thurman. Keith Thurman's always fucking a great win if he be able to beat Keith Thurman or not, right? You also have other fighters in the list like Charlo. You know, both Jermel and Jermall Charlo. I mean, he has a nice list ahead of him, bro. A nice fucking list ahead of him, man. And not to mention fucking not to, you know, fucking let you know, leave the best for last. Virgil Ortiz. And if, let's say, Terrence Crawford, you know, wants to remain in the pocket, shit, you know what I mean? Let's bring him in the list, bro. You know, there might be even a fight against Terrence Crawford in the future. I mean, definitely, bro. Win, lose, or draw. He definitely has a nice road ahead of him, but to get that Crawford fight, to get that Virgil Ortiz fight, he needs to collect these first wins, right? But these first wins are, even win, lose, or draw, he still could get these fights against both Charlos. You know what I mean? Andre, Lara, Fundora, the rematch. Bro, fuck, he has a nice road ahead of him. I'm a big fan of Tim Tszyu. Bro. I am a big fan of Tim Tszyu. Big fucking fan of Tim Tszyu. Let's go, Tim Tszyu. Does Tim Tszyu got a store? Because if he has a store, I'm buying his hat. Let's go, Tim. Tim Tszyu, where's your hat? I'm buying the hat. I'm telling you, bro, I'm a fan of Tim Tszyu, bro. He has a nice road ahead of him, bro. Win, lose, or draw, bro. He ain't gonna fucking disappoint. Shit. Let's go, Tim. So that's what happened in the week, you know. So a couple of good fights and shit, right? You know? So yeah, so we already talked about the fights that would happen over the weekend. Right, I already talked about stealing content and shit, motherfuckers stealing my intro. You know what I mean? I don't even want to call it stealing, bro. I'm just gonna say fucking motherfuckers you know, just being inspired by a dude, like I said in the beginning of the video, right? Just getting inspired, bro. It's all right, bro. It's all right, bro. Getting inspired, bro. But, you know, it's my hobby, bro. You know, I'm not desperate for views, so I ain't really tripping on it. It's my hobby, you know what I mean? So it's what I do just to have fun and shit, bro. But let's talk about a little bit about the future of boxing, bro. You know what I mean? I believe Black and Brown Boxing. Once again, shout out to Muhammad Black and Brown Boxing. Earlier, he had a video. Subscribe to his channel. Check out that video. I think he did mention who he believes could be the future of boxing. I did mention that, in my opinion, in my agreement, he did bring up the fact that Emiliano Vargas, and I said, yeah, man, I've been having my eye on that kid for a while. Emiliano Vargas, he definitely has the boxing qualities to be the face of boxing in the future, bro. For one, he has a great lineage, right? A great story behind him. His pops, his brothers, right? It's kind of like a little bit like a Canelo story. Canelo being the youngest of all these brothers who were professional fighters, but in this case, for Emiliano Vargas, he has brothers who are younger than him or whatever that are also fighters, and his dad, Hall of Famer, what I mean, boxer, bro, from fighting out of Oxnard and shit, bro, with the Robert Garcia Boxing Academy, taking all that knowledge and converting it into the Vargas dynasty, bro. I mean, yeah, bro, Emiliano Vargas definitely, and he has the boxing qualities, bro, the skills in the ring, bro, and the punch, the chin, you know what I mean, and you could tell he's a little bit hungry too, bro. Even though he comes from that upper middle class family, you know what I mean. He still has that hunger. I'm not sure if it's hunger for fame or the hunger to please his dad or the hunger for money or whatever the fuck it. But he's definitely hungry, bro. He's hungry, bro, and you can tell, bro. He's very well educated and charisma. His pops is grooming him properly, taking care of him, so they wouldn't take advantage of him, not fucking around with the pisto, the drogas, you know what I mean, the drugs and the alcohol, nothing like that, bro. He got no vices that we could tell, you know what I mean. Great kid, you know what I mean. I believe he's also um, educated and not only from his moral upbringing, but also in school, right? So this kid is very smart as well. So I'm telling you, bro, he has great qualities, bro. This guy could go all the way. I've always said that Virgil Ortiz is gonna take over Canelo, bro. I've been saying that for fucking many years. Uh, Before Virgil Ortiz, my eyes were definitely on, thinking about Canelo, right? Canelo's there, but I've always thought that Keith Thurman was gonna be one of those fighters. Um, but that was before he went inactive, right? Because he was fighting everybody, bro. I mean, he was fucking fighting everybody. Let's say he would have fucking beat Spence, Crawford. Shit, bro, that would have made him right there. You know what I mean? And then fighting everybody else and like the Charlos and the old Ladas and then I don't know, but Manny Pacquiao did fucking that was a good fight with Manny Pacquiao. I always thought, you know what I mean, that was the guy back then, bro. But apart from Canelo, obviously. But it turned out to be Canelo and Tank Davis and Ryan Garcia possibly in there, right? So that's what it turned out to be. So I was off, bro. I was surprised to see Tank Davis as the face of boxing. He was not my prediction. He was always been in my top pound for pound top five. But recently he's definitely been demoted, obviously, bro. But yeah, bro. So another fighter who has a potential could be Brandon Lee from California, bro. Brandon Lee is I think he's half Japanese, half Mexican, and he's undefeated, bro. He's another fighter, bro. He could definitely bring in a different fan base, bro. Maybe possibly the Asian fan base. You know what I mean? Manny Pacquiao has a huge following here in the United States, and then if Brandon Lee could tap into that, he will definitely attract a huge market in the U.S. Right? And not only that, but he's half Mexican, so and he could also uh, attract a lot of the Chicanos and the Mexican fan base as well. So he's another potential, bro. He's definitely another potential, and that's Brandon Lee. So and I did want to talk about more about the future of boxing, bro. Certain topics like the sport of boxing itself. As you guys see, there's a few things happening in the sport of boxing, bro. Turkey Alakish, bro. He's trying to dominate the sport of boxing. Is it a war? Is it not? Is it a takeover? Is it a buyout, whatever the fuck it is, bro. It's a I don't know, bro. I really don't know what it is, bro. But in my opinion, bro, it's U.S. boxing is being taken over by foreign governments. I appreciate everything that Turkey Alakish is doing, putting up good money to get good fights. But if this continues, say goodbye to U.S. boxing, uh, and then you're gonna start seeing the monopoly of boxing happening, out of the hands uh, of say judicial processes here, like in the United States of America, bro. How we're able to regulate with laws and regulations and on on the sport of boxing and shit, bro. And so and then you also got to look into consideration. You have to take into consideration the boxing sanction bodies. You know what I mean? So they're also doing a few things themselves, bro, that protect the fighters. So eliminating the sanctioning bodies, and I don't know, bro. It's the XFL, in my opinion, bro. Turkey Alakishi. They tried it before. It's just it's weird, bro. A lot of people complain about how the sport of boxing is being run, but you gotta understand, bro. The sport of boxing is these fighters, bro. They're fighting in different companies. The sport of boxing has four different companies. It's the WBC, the WBA, the WBO, and the IBF. Different companies. Where in the UFC, it's just one UFC. And boxing, once again, is WBC, WBA, WBO, and IBF. And you got the Ring Magazine, right? And then you got other titles like the NABF, the NABO. You got titles like the Intercontinental titles, that other sanctioning bodies get away with or applauded or encouraged, like the WBA with their super champion. That's totally fine, for the fans. But when the WBC tried to introduce a similar champion status and a super champion by calling them um, the franchise champion, some of the fans went nuts. So it's just depending on there's every sanctioning body runs differently. When one tries to imitate the other, it's you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't, kind of thing. You know what I mean? So it's more complicated, bro. In boxing, bro, these fighters have to deal with four different companies at the same time. Whereas in other sports, in mixed martial arts sports, they're only dealing with one company. Same thing like in NFL, NHL, NBL, NBA, MLB, whatever. All these fucking sports, bro. It's only one company. In boxing, they got multiple companies to fucking deal with, and each one has different rules, bro. And it's nothing like the Eastern Conference versus the Western Conference, or the AFC versus the NFC. Ah, bro, I'm talking about this is a whole different company. It's a whole different company, bro. And you also got to deal with fucking different uh, networks, channels, platforms. That's a whole different ball game. The certain sports have their own stadiums, whereas in boxing, bro, you're like a traveling circus. You know what I mean? So the sport of boxing, it's I think we're at war. We're at war with Turkey Alakishi, and and it's the whole Pinocchio story, bro. Turkey Alakishi, in my opinion, is pulling a Pinocchio on us, bro. He's trying to fucking bait you into that one theme park, and then before you know it, you're looking like a motherfucking donkey, bro, like a jackass. Watching pay-per-view boxing at fucking 7 a.m. 7 a.m., bro, watching pay-per-view boxing at 7. Yeah, some good fucking fights, but at 7 a.m. and shit, bro. You know what I mean? And no ring girls. Or, you know what I mean? Or, I don't know, bro. It's just, it's a whole culture change. It's a you do what you do in your side of the world, bro. We do what we do in our side of the world. If you don't like it, then build your own shit, but don't take ours away. Don't change our fucking lifestyle. I don't know, bro. I feel like I'm in Pinocchio land with Turkey Alakishi all of a sudden, bro. You know what I mean? I think so. I think we're being fooled, bro. I think it's a power grab, bro. It's a move to fucking take away one of our national sports that helps sustain the backbone of masculinity. You know what I mean? And boxing is not perfect, but it's it's been, you know, adjusted and manipulated and broken down and rebuilt to the point where it's a machine, bro. Boxing is a machine, and it's running in conjunction with all these companies making it work together. That's why when a new company comes in, it's like putting, throwing a wrench in the machine. It's gonna start fucking up, and so I don't know, bro. Uh, I like boxing the way it is. It's not perfect, but I like it the way it is. Is NFL perfect? Is Major League Soccer perfect? Is the National Basketball Association perfect, man? Right? Is the UFC perfect? I mean, come on, bro. Let's be honest. So it is what it is, bro. Z28 ZCR says the no girls is a no bueno. That que no carnal, is no bueno, man. So shout out to you for joining in the chat. So let's continue with the. So yeah, I kind of went off the business, right? So a couple of things about the future of boxing. I want to talk about A, being the boxing sport itself, B, the business, and the fighters, bro. What about the fighters? The fighters are always gonna follow the money. The fighters will always follow the money, but we're the fans, bro. We pay for our entertainment. We're not gonna, you know, support a sport, bro, that is gonna end up turning, into a circus and shit, bro. Celebrity boxing. You're gonna lose a lot of the fan base. You might gain a different fan base, but you're gonna lose. You're going to lose, you know, the true fan base of the sport of boxing. You understand what I'm saying, bro? It's now if you want to build on a sport of boxing by giving us the fights that we want, but not changing our boxing schedules, but not changing the culture and how we display these boxing matches, then yeah, you'll gain more fans from across the globe. But the fighters, bro, at the end of the day, they're getting paid by what the fans are wanting to pay to watch, right? And if you start seeing, and De La Hoya, he had a very well fucking point. He said these fighters are not going to last, right? They're not going to last because if they're continuously fighting the best out of the best, say 4 fights out of the year or 3 fights out of the year, fighting the best out of the best, these are gonna be some brutal fucking fights. The body needs to recover, and the body breaks down, and the lifespan shortens. That's why these fighters, a lot of them, after a while, they have tuna fights, mediocre fights, preparation fights, top 10 fights, top 5 ranked fights, and then you go for like the mandatory fight, or and then the champion, unification fights. So yeah, bro, you gotta build the fighters at the same time, maintain them, keep them healthy and shit, bro. It's the job of the promotional company to try to get as much money at the end of the road, at the end of the day, to get as much money from these boxers, bro. They don't want to end their career in 1 year. They're gonna try to hold on to them for as long as possible, possibly for a whole decade, to profit from them. And so there's the pros and there's the cons, bro. And like I said, the fans and the fighters, right? So I already talked about these 2 points. Now, when it comes to the media, bro, the media also gets manipulated. Fucking media, bro. You can pay off the media to talk shit, or talk shit about you, or to talk shit about someone else, bro. To hype you up, make you look good. So the media is also could also get biased. They're also biased, bro. They also have agendas, and so the media's always it's gonna hurt the sport of boxing with all these changes. Just making stories out of stories, bro, and not reporting on the truth. You know what I mean? They're not reporting on the truth that we're at war, bro. We're at fucking war. We're at war with another country for the sport of boxing. And as much as you love Turkey Alakish with all his money and shit, it's fucking Pinocchio land, bro. It's fucking Pinocchio land. You're being walked into a fucking theme park, making it look like a jackass and shit. And before you know it, you're stuck in there like Hotel California. You know what I mean? You could always check in, you could always check out, but you can never leave. You know what I mean? Now, with some rumors in boxing, bro, there's a few rumors in boxing going on, bro. ESPN and the fucking Top Rank, you know, headed their separate ways. Top Rank involved in some crazy shit. ESPN didn't like it. What's gonna happen to Top Rank? I hope they fucking go to the Zone, bro. I'm happy with the Zone. The Zone already got Matchroom Boxing and Golden Boy. If they have top Rank over there, only one that would truly be left out there would be PBC. Can you imagine, bro, if the Zone had Top Rank, Golden Boy, and Matchroom? Just those three itself, that fucking application would be worth what it is right now. A little expensive, I still pay for it, don't get me wrong, but it's getting a little expensive. Then you got the pay-per-view aspect of it, when they said no more pay-per-views and they kind of turned, but they learned that pay-per-view boxing is still very profitable, and these fighters push for pay-per-view boxing fights. So it only made sense, bro, to me why they fucking, they switched up not having pay-per-views to having pay-per-views. But could you just imagine, bro, if Top Rank signs with the Zone and you already have Golden Boy and Matchroom Boxing and the other Matchbury Boxing, and then you also have PBC, right? Some fumbling channel through channels, bro. You know what I mean? They don't stick around, in the long run with fucking particular networks. So they're also up for grabs. So they might be enticed to join the Zone in order to go up against Turkey Al Akish. But I don't know who owns the Zone. From what I heard, the rumors that I heard, Holmes, the Zone is a company owned by Arab companies, foreign companies, right? So if the Zone takes over um, all these, promotional companies, then they're creating a monopoly of themselves, and then that's another Pinocchio land that we got duped into. You know what I mean? So but the Zone seems to be working very well with the U.S. culture, bro, with our U.S. customs, and traditions. The Zone doesn't seem to be infringing and the way we have always been doing business with the sport of boxing, bro. And I feel like Turkey Alakishi is infringing in those traditions, bro. So I talked about the ESPN, the Top Rank. You know what I mean? And another rumor of WBC strips Bivol, right? You guys heard about that shit, bro? I'm gonna drop that video later. I was gonna include it in the future videos, so stay tuned to a video maybe tomorrow or so about WBC stripping Bivol and if Benavidez as a paper champion or not. Um, I already talked about the current fighters who resemble throwback fighters. How Black and Brown Boxing was talking about that, and we were talking about TSZYU, another fighter, in my opinion, who resembles a throwback fighter that I would say does by his actions. I would say is Jermel Charlo. You know, coming from a loss to avenging his loss, becoming undisputed, and then moving up, fighting Canelo. And so that's pretty intense right there, bro. Now, has he came back after Canelo? No, not really, but he's still in the mix, bro. I mean, he's probably just, cashing in on his check and shit, bro, taking care of business. And is he gonna be back? So hopefully he'll be back, bro. Is he a throwback fighter? I would say he is. TSZYU is definitely another one. Um, Canelo for sure is definitely a throwback fighter, bro. Canelo 100% sure is a motherfucking throwback fighter. That motherfucker fights everybody, bro. I mean, he fights every fucking narrative, fighter after fighter after fighter, right? And then he even got motherfuckers running away from their mandatories, bro. He even got motherfuckers talking all this shit, clout chasing, and then he corners them and he tells them, all right, sign the contract. Where's the mandate? Let's go ahead and do it. They say, nah, I'm moving up to a different weight division. Nah, I'm out. You know what I mean? So yeah, bro. So Canelo's definitely that throwback fighter, bro. So stay tuned for other videos on like the sci-fis and shit going on, bro. Z28, thank you for your fucking comment, bro. Appreciate it. This is the boxing commentaries with the dude, huh? Just another edition of the boxing commentaries. Just throw my two punches in, bro. Brought to you by the low budget shit productions. Just throw my 2 punches in. It is what it is, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you guys enjoyed the edition of the boxing commentaries. Little rundown of the fights that occurred over the weekend. A few of the topics that we ran through. And it is what it is. So I'm out. Peace.